the version that I heard that took place in Santee. Yeah, back when it was just a little village. In Santee there lived a pair of lovers, Nina and Joe. And Nina and Joe, they had an amazing love story, I'm sure. They overcame many, many obstacles, I'm positive of it, but I do not know that story, and that's not the one I'm going to tell you. The one I'm going to tell you today is about a year after they got married, when a terrible illness came to their village, a plague, and it struck every house. Joe, the young man, his parents both died. And Nina, she only had her mother left, and soon she was gone. And then it came to their house, and Joe and Nina both got sick. And Joe, he was coughing, he had a terrible fever, he sneezed and he sneezed. And Nina, she just laid right down on the bed and wondered if she was gonna die. But then she started to feel better. Day by day, she felt better and better. But Joe, he wasn't getting any better. And she did not know what to do. And when she thought back, she remembered that her grandmother had told her that way back when her grandmother was a little girl, her grandmother had told her a story about gathering certain special herbs and putting them together and lighting them on fire. So she did. She went out into her yard and she gathered up the herbs as best as she could remember, and she put them all in a pile and she lit them on fire. And as the, yes, it went on fire, and as the smoke was rising, she raised her hands and she said, "Oh, spirits, any benevolent spirits, gods or goddesses, any who can hear my voice, tell me what I must do to save my beloved." And just like that, the fire went out. It was fortunately a full moon, so there was still some light. And Nina heard a sound down by her feet, and she thought she saw out of the corner of her eye a flash of red. And when she looked down, it was not a superhero cape, but the flash of a little red fox. And that red fox was whimpering, had a clearly hurt paw. And Nina, she didn't even stop to think. She just scooped up those herbs that she had just burnt and put them on the fox's paw. She ripped her own shawl into a bandage and wrapped it up. And she said, come inside. I will take care of you while your paw heals." And to her surprise, the fox's green eyes met hers. And he spoke. "Because you have been so kind, I will take you to the healing waters." The what? The healing waters. They can save your people, but they are hard to find, and you must search. I will show you the way, but even I have never seen them. And so Nina, she hurried after the fox who was scampering down the path. She tried to catch up with him. She was still suffering a little from her illness, and her breath was getting short. She called out, "I can't go that fast. Please, slow down." And the fox slowed but kept going. And they went up and up and up the mountains, far beyond where Nina had ever been. And soon it didn't even start to look like Southern California. The trees were large, and there was darkness everywhere. And Nina, she said to the fox, "We have to stop. I need to rest. I can't go any further." And so the two of them collapsed down to the ground. And the fox curled up next to Nina, and she fell asleep. And when the first rays of dawn started to come up, she opened her eyes, and the fox was gone. Ooh. there was no answer. And so she just kept going down the path, hoping that she might be able to find the waters on her own. And she looked and she thought to herself, oh, waters. They always run downhill. Look, there's a rocky outcropping up there. I bet there's a waterfall. That must be the healing waters. And so she pushed herself to get all the way to the top, and there was no water. And poor Mina, she just sat down and cried in despair. I will never find the waters. And just then, the fox appeared on that rocky outcropping and said, Mina, you mustn't give up. You must not despair. Keep searching. You will hear it before you see it. And so she got back up. She started to look again. And she listened. And she could hear the sounds of the mountain. She could hear some birds singing. She could hear some bugs buzzing. She couldn't hear any water. And all of a sudden, she heard the most amazing sound, like 100 voices singing all at once. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I bet you're wondering how they knew Leonard Cohen, but I swear that was what she heard. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Where is that sound coming from? And then she realized it was coming from beneath her feet. There, beneath her feet was soft ground, and it was just exactly the color of the fox who had disappeared again. Well, she looked around, she found a sharp stick, and she started to dig. And it was rough going. The ground was soft, but she dug and she dug and she dug and she dug until at last she heard it, the gurgling, bubbling sound of the water, and it spurted up all around her, and she stood in the water and she got soaking wet. And as she got soaking wet, she began to feel healthy and strong. This was the healing water. But how would she get it back to her people, to her love? And she looked down again, and she saw that clay, that dirt that she had been digging in, the color of the fox. And she thought, I know what to do. And so she began to gather all that clay together, and she rolled it and she molded it until she had a large pot. And she took that pot and she put it up on the rocks. And she watched it all day while it baked in the sun until it was hard and watertight. And then she filled it with that water. She said, thank you to the water. Thank you to the fox. Thank you to any of the benevolent spirits who heard me. And now I will take it home. And it wasn't an easy journey back down that mountain, back to the land that she recognized again. But she managed with that pot full of that bubbling water. And she got to her village and she was so happy. But as the villagers came out, they looked so sad and gaunt because the plague had continued to ravage through her village. And her neighbor came up to her and said, Mina, it's good you got back. Joe is at death's door. You'll be lucky if you can catch his last breath. And so she hurried inside. And it was true, his eyes weren't open. He didn't look like he was even breathing. But she remembered that the fox had said, do not despair. And she took a little of the water and she put it on his lips. And it trickled down his throat, and he opened his eyes. Mina. And she gave him a little bit more, and soon he took the pot and he drank it, and he stood up And he said, Mina, I am strong, I am well again. And the two of them took that pot from neighbor's house to neighbor's house into all who lived in their village were healthy and well. And the pot was dry. Now they say that if you go to the Heritage Museum in Santee, if you can find it, you might see a clay pot made of clay that's the red of a fox's fur. And if you do, perhaps you can find the healing water to fill it with. Thank you. Thanks, James.